Welcome to Lotus Me Bloom podcast. This is your host, Madison Ansel, and this podcast is all about spirituality, self-development, things I've learned, and so much more. If you're into that stuff, then you found the right podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I know I didn't upload this Sunday. Please don't kill me. I just had this idea for an episode, and then I was like, yeah, not feeling it. And then I came up with an idea literally Sunday night. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to do this on Monday. So it's Monday. Hi. You might get this on Wednesday instead of waiting until next Sunday. Wednesday's like my alternative day. I'd like to try to say, hey, I upload every week, but we know that that's just like, not reality for me. Actually, I need to stop fucking saying that too, because I'm not trying to manifest that. I'm trying to be more disciplined. I'm sorry. Anyways, I actually want to talk about something that I've been like going over in my head. And I know what I said. I know that I said I did not want to do a video podcast. I know. But I'm starting to think otherwise. And I kind of want to do that again, but different. Like I want to have an actual setup, like a chair. I can't figure out the vibe. Like I don't know if I want like a table type of vibe where I'm sitting across a desk, or like a cozy vibe with a chair. And I want it to be very like clean and, professional. Like the very first video podcast I did, it was like shit in the background of my room. Like I'm trying to like transform like a corner of like the spare bedroom and do all that. But I know like I hate talking about things that aren't actually happening yet. That probably won't be till April. Okay. So give me some time to figure it out. I am transferring all of my stuff out of my Reiki room because I did say in my last episode that March is my last month doing Reiki. So I have furniture that I need to figure out where to go. And I'm going to use some of that for my podcast. So I'm done in April. So just bear with me. But if you guys are excited about that and like really would enjoy that, let me know, because it's something I've been going back and forth with. When I started this podcast, like I just felt like I needed to do video, and I didn't really want to do it because I do like love being able to just be in my PJs and look like a hot fucking mess and get behind this computer and my microphone and just hit record no matter what time of the day. But there's something that has changed in me. I have always been the type of person I rather listen to a podcast than watch one. But one of my favorite people, Leo Skeppy, he started to do his on a video. And I was like, I was still listening to his audio, but now I find myself on YouTube watching it, and I love it. Like I actually kind of gravitating towards watching them now. I don't know. There's something about seeing someone's face and their reaction. I don't know. It's just, it adds so much more to it. And I'm like, oh, I want to do that. I want that. And I just love it because it's just different ways to listen. Like you can listen in the car, but when you have some downtime and you want to watch it, you can do that too. I don't know, like the vibe of having my own little set per se just really makes me excited. But I also hate the fact that I'm going to have to be a little bit more disciplined and make sure I'm recording with good lighting. I don't look like shit, which I'm like, you know what? Who cares if I don't have makeup on? Like, I'm human. I want to show people that you don't always have to look put together and whatever. But there are sometimes, y'all, I look hit, all right? Like, my hair be greasy, all right? I just got from the gym, and I just want to hit record because I got this, like, idea, and I don't want to lose it. So, I mean, Leo, he records at like 1 a.m., but I feel like it's different for men. Men can look, good by doing nothing at all. Anyways, I'm going to stop rambling about that and get into today's episode. Please let me know, though, if that's something you're interested in, because it's really something I'm like going back and forth with, but I think I'm going to do it because I'm like, man, that's more editing. Like, that sucks. I don't want to edit more. Like, I don't want to take away from the fun and easy, part that I like about having a podcast. But yeah, so let me know. So today's episode is how to trust yourself. And I touched on this a little bit in the last episode about trusting the universe and trusting yourself. But I want to dive deeper into how to actually trust yourself, because it's not that simple. It was something I had to really work on. I would say for like a year or two. I don't know. It just depends, because what aspect you're looking at it through. You can look at it through like, okay, I'm making this huge leap of faith and I'm going down this new career path and I'm going to trust myself that way. Or it could just literally be like, I don't trust anything I say. I'm not disciplined. I don't feel like anything works out for me. And it's more like mental, which it's the same thing. Don't get me wrong, because you need one to have the other. You have to have that like foundation of trust to even decide, hey, I'm going to quit my job and go on this huge leap of faith. Like, you need to build the foundation to even get to that point. And for me, like, the foundation took a couple years of just healing, and like healing in general helped me trust myself. And then I did go through a process of like, oh, I actually like hate what I'm doing right now and I want to do something completely different. And I have to trust that the money's going to be there and that things are going to work out. And that like solidifies the trust. But you have to have the foundation to take that leap of faith and go down that route. So hopefully I didn't like confuse you, but basically it took me a while to learn how to trust myself. And learning how to trust yourself, honestly, has a lot to do with self-love. If you have a lot of self-hatred towards yourself and you just disgust yourself, it's gonna be hard to trust yourself. I mean, you can't even trust your own judgment about yourself, because guarantee that however you feel about yourself, if you hate yourself, if you feel like you're a piece of shit, you're probably not. And don't get me wrong, there are some piece of shits in the world, but if you're listening to this podcast, this episode, you're not a fucking piece of shit, okay? So let's not get technical. Let's get straight to the point. If you want to learn how to trust yourself, you need to know yourself. You can't have one or the other. You need to get to know yourself. If you have no trust within yourself or where you're going, more than likely you have a lot of fucking distractions in your life. And you need to cut out all those distractions. If you don't know what you want out of life or what makes you happy, then my friend, that is a problem. Don't get me wrong. I sometimes don't know what I want, but I have gotten to a point where like I genuinely know myself. I know the things I do like and what I don't like. Yeah, there might be some of those bigger questions of like, what is your purpose and what do you want to do and that type of stuff. But I'm saying like, if you don't even know like the little things, like, hey, I don't like when you call me a piece of shit. Like, if you don't even know what you like with like friendships, like, or standards, if you don't have any standards for yourself, I mean, that stems a lot from self-love. I mean, like, if you don't know what makes you happy, that's an issue. Like, if you don't know what brings you joy, that's an issue. Because I can tell you right now, like, I might not know everything about myself when it comes to my future, but I really enjoy hiking. I enjoy shopping. I like crystals. I enjoy watching YouTube videos. I don't enjoy when people say some smart shit to me. Like, I know myself in that way. And I know what brings me joy. And I know, like, the direction I want to go in. This doesn't always have to be career wise, by the way, but like I do know like my bigger goals. I want a house. I would like a couple dogs. I would like a house that looks like X, Y, and Z. I know those things about myself. And basically, knowing yourself on that level is just propelling you forward and setting you up for success. Because when you know you want something so badly, you cut out distractions. You align yourself to where you want to go. And that can be like a different topic. But what I'm trying to say is if you really don't know like anything about yourself and you just distract yourself all the time, you need to learn to cut that out. For the time being. I'm not saying you can't ever like go out with your friends or drink or smoke or whatever. But I'm saying if that's what you're doing all the fucking time and you truly hate sitting with yourself, sitting with your feelings, sitting with your emotions, that is the key to learning how to trust yourself and know yourself is by getting uncomfortable. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable, period. That's like, you're going to be your whole life. If you're trying to manifest some big ass goals in your life, you need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's something I'm working on. Because honestly, the answers always usually lie within the uncomfortable shit that we don't want to do. A little bit of resistance. And I was once at a point in my life where I truly hated being by myself. Because I hated the feelings that would come up when I was by myself. I hated the feelings that I used to ignore. That truly was just my inner child trying to tell me, hey, like, I'm still over here. I still would like for you to do this. And I knew that I had pushed that part of myself down. And I didn't want to feel the feelings of like, I fucked up. I'm ignoring this part of myself. Like, I've wasted so much time. Those feelings are very deep for most of us. And I want to just share with you that almost everyone, I would say like 99%, we go through a phase where we lose ourselves or we don't know what we want. Especially in adulthood, we shove down this version of ourselves that we were growing up, which I call the inner child. We push them down. And truly what the inner child is who we are at the core. That's how I like to explain it. And that's how I understand it. The inner child is the version of ourselves who believed that we could do whatever we wanted. There were no limiting beliefs. There was no shit of reality weighing on us because we were children. We had fun. We had imagination. And at some point in adulthood, we lose that. And not even adulthood. This could be very early teens. You know, if you have parents or just honestly society in general, it's like, you can't do that. Who do you think you are? Like, that's not reasonable. So we start to push down this version of ourselves, who we truly are at the core. And that could just be things of like, your inner child really loved listening to fucking rock music. And your parents are like, no, rock music is evil. You can't listen to that shit. Like, it's just little stuff like that. Maybe you really love to draw and paint and like that brought you so much enjoyment. Doesn't have to be a career, but you really enjoyed it. And your brother or sister growing up was like, you're trash. You should stop doing that. And maybe they were joking, but those little things can stick with us. I literally just saw a TikTok of a guy I follow, and he was talking about how, like, when he was 16, his first girlfriend, his name's Andrew. Oh shit, what is his last name? I can't remember. It's Andrew Lacout. Hopefully I'm saying his last name right. But he just has funny TikToks, and he does those like producer type of TikToks. I'm sure you guys have seen him somewhere. But he was talking about when he was 16, he opened up about his passions with his girlfriend, and she basically was like, ew, don't never do that again. And so like ever since, He's just never shared his passions with anyone. And I'm talking about this because this is like a prime example of like how this little shit that we don't think is a big deal, like if someone's joking with us or whatever, it doesn't matter, how they meant it. It's how we take it and we store it in our subconscious, because it might not be that big of a deal as a kid, but we just registered as that was like not okay. So we don't do it anymore. So basically what I'm saying is, if you want to get to know yourself, get to know that inner child again. Sit with the uncomfortable feelings, because it's going to fucking suck when you've ignored your inner child and those things that really light you up, like listening to rock music or painting. Sitting with those things and finally being like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, I have neglected you. I've neglected the things I actually want. And just come to acceptance that you can't change the past, but you can change where you're going. So when you are getting to know yourself, ask yourself, what do you love? Like, what brings you joy? What makes you smile? Maybe it's just like puppy videos on Instagram or watching the panda cam, like little things like that. It doesn't have to be like this huge, like life altering question of like, what's your purpose? And, those deep things. It's just those small ones, like getting to know yourself and love yourself through it. Because when you are on a path of just like, I don't give a fuck, like, I'm just gonna party and like numb my feelings away, or just even this path of just I'm just getting through each day, like what's the point? It's hard to even have an inkling of that love and passion for much of anything. We so often distract ourselves because there is a part of ourselves that is begging us to pay attention and begging us to just, hey, you should go for that walk. Or, hey, you should go out in nature. Hey, go listen to some of that music that you like to listen to. So, for example, when I was drinking and partying, it's not that I didn't have things that didn't bring me joy. I did. Like, I obviously had fun getting fucked up. And there was obviously things I enjoyed. Like, I liked shopping. I liked, watching YouTube videos, and I still really enjoyed YouTube, and I enjoyed acting and those type of creative outlets, but I wasn't doing any of it because I did come from a place of like, depression, mental health. And then I went into this like party phase because I just didn't want to sit with those feelings. It's kind of like when you just have a shit ton of papers piled up at work and you need to go through them, but it's just like, fuck it. What's one more day? They can wait. And that's kind of like what I was going through. Like, I knew the things I liked, but I needed to go through them because I knew that with those things came disappointments within myself, because I knew I wasn't working towards those things. I knew I put those things on the back burner. I knew those things were a part of a past version of myself that I let down. And that was really fucking heavy. I think that this goes for like most inner child healing. I think we all can relate to this at some point in time. Like Leo talks a lot about like little Leo. And that's exactly what I'm talking about, is the little version of yourself. If you go through life taking that version of yourself into consideration, I promise you, you will live such a better and happier life. Because that inner child version is truly who you are at the core. The things that light us up and bring us joy, and honestly is what gives us purpose. So I encourage you to do the inner work, to love yourself through it, and sit with the feelings that might not be comfortable and get to know yourself. And why I'm like exaggerating this whole part of trusting yourself is because it's so fucking important, and you can't have both. Because, for example, if you're trying to trust someone else that you just met, you have to get to know them, right? You're not just going to trust a fucking stranger. You have to get to know them, and if their word is reliable, right? So you have to get to know yourself to trust yourself. Because what I truly feel like is one of the most important qualities to have is integrity and your word, which is basically the same thing. But for me, like, I'm a very loyal person. And if I say, like, hey, I'm going to do this for you on Saturday, I'll be there. Like, I'm going to fucking be there. Like, I feel like when you break your word, like, it just fucks your whole character up. Like, if you have no integrity, then, like, how can anyone trust you? So you need to build that integrity with yourself. So one of the like biggest game changers I ever heard, and I sometimes struggle with this too, but if you're going to do something, like, do it. For example, if you say, I'm going to go to the gym, and then you don't go to the gym, like, you're breaking your trust right there, because you said you're going to do it. And then it's like programming your subconscious mind that you don't follow through. And it's kind of that underlying, hey, I don't trust myself. Now, I know that, like, so many of us have done this shit, still do this shit. I still do this shit. I said I was going to go to the gym today and I didn't. But, so, like, for example, if you want to try to build your trust, if you are going to say something like, okay, I'm going to go take a shower, and you don't take a shower for like 5 hours, stop saying that until you do it. So even if, like, you're literally about to get in the shower, say, I'm going to get in the shower. It just helps get our subconscious mind, like, programmed. It's kind of like affirmations. That's what I'm trying to get at. So if you're like, hey, I'm going to go into town, like, literally be in your car when you say it. Like, wait until you're actually ready to do the thing, so it builds that trust. And honestly, this is something I need to do more often, because there are lots of times that I'm like, okay, I'm going to go do this, and then I don't do it. I forgot about this amazing example, and I want to, like, also get across that just because I'm talking about things doesn't mean, like, I'm opted out. You know, I share these things because I have struggled and sometimes still struggle with these things. I'm just sharing my knowledge so that I can help you and maybe better your life as well, and share the things that I have learned. Because I'm not perfect. There's still a lot of things that I go through, and I just truly want to, like, help anyone quicken their time span of going through their shit, because I feel like it took me a really long time to, like, figure this shit out. So start building that trust with yourself, so when you say you're going to do something, you do it. Because for me personally, like, I can do something for someone else, but when it comes to myself, it's like, I'll put it off. And, like, that's fucked up. You should put yourself first. And that's, like, some people pleasing mentality stuff that I'm healing. But, like, it's so much easier to commit to someone else but not yourself, and, like, your integrity to yourself should be just as important. So building that trust is going to come a lot easier when you say, hey, I'm going to do this while you're doing it, or when you're about ready to do it. You know what I'm saying? So getting to know yourself, trusting yourself is the same thing. You need to trust yourself. You need to trust your word. So I would say the foundation is to getting to know yourself, doing that inner child work. And then you can add on to, okay, my word is I'm going to take a shower right now instead of waiting 5 hours to do it. And I know that that sounds really simple, but I promise, like, it makes a difference, because subconsciously, when we don't do the things that we say we're going to do, it's just kind of affirming to the universe that we can't rely on ourselves. Once you start to build that trust, one of the biggest key factors that really helped solidify trusting myself was to block out everybody else and what they had to say or think. And I still do this to this day, because you will always have someone that disagrees. You will always have someone that does not see your vision and where you want to go and what you believe, especially if you're on this like spiritual path and you're trying to manifest things, and you're working on your shit, you're working on your limiting beliefs, you're working on changing how you felt in the past of like, oh, this is not possible. Who do I think I am? You're deconstructing all of these beliefs that were thrown onto you. And then the fucking real kicker, that while you are working on your own shit, you also have to block out and keep everyone else's shit that they're always trying to project onto you at a distance. And this shit is, it's not easy. I still like battle with this sometimes. I've gotten so good at it within the last few years, but it's not something that came easy to me. But once you get on this awareness, spiritual journey, truly the journey is awareness. Like, I will say that over and over. Awareness is key. When you are so aware, it just gets to a point where you can't ignore shit. Like, when you get to the point that you are aware of the bullshit that you tell yourself and what you're doing, that's truly like how I even got on a spiritual journey. Is I became aware of my surroundings, and I was like, holy shit, what the fuck am I doing? And then I was just like, I can't keep doing this to myself. Like, I know this shit's not bettering me, so I have to stop. And when you get to that point, it's like you can't unsee the shit that is now in your face. So how you maybe used to interact with people, whether it's friends or family, it's like, damn, it's like this veil is lifted and you're like, fuck, this person is so negative all the time. And no wonder why I felt like that. Like, no wonder why I said these things about myself. You start to like dissect conversations that you always used to have with people, and just like how other people think and believe, because you're working on your limiting beliefs, you're working on your shit, and it's so like obvious of what other people's shit is. Maybe not for everyone. I'm just like fucking super aware. I don't know. I'm tapped in too. Like, I can read people really well, psychically too, but I'm a projector. I truly feel like when you tap into your gifts as a projector, you can just see through people. And for me personally, I can talk to someone and I just instantly know like what their issue is, like what their traumas may be and what like their insecurities may be. And it's, for example, like, there was someone that I used to really be close with, and I hadn't seen them in a really long time, like been around them for some years. So like the version of myself now, having an interaction with them, it was kind of eye-opening. I was like talking to my partner about it, and I was like, man, I didn't realize how insecure this person actually is. Because at the time, like, I probably saw this person as very confident, but like now I see through people, like, and I always kind of did. Like, I always had a good read on someone, but it's almost penetrating. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like I can just see what people struggle with. And maybe it's the healer in me, I don't know. But projectors are known for just being able to see the solution. And that's why sometimes we give unsolicited advice when it's not needed. And that can make us feel better. But we're not talking about human design. So what I'm trying to get at is just like, when you become so aware, you see everybody else's stories that they tell themselves. And it's almost like, for me personally, I just try to detach myself from them. Because some people, no matter what, like when you very first get on the spiritual journey, you can sit and preach and say, this is what I've learned. Like, this has opened my eyes. Like, oh my gosh, like if you just listened to this or did this, like this would change your life. It doesn't matter sometimes. And I've said this in the last episode. Some people just aren't ready to heal. And so you'll get to a point where eventually you're like, okay, fuck it. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm tired of wasting my breath. But what I'm trying to get at is that one of the strongest things you can do to trust yourself on this journey through life is to block out everyone. And I'm not saying to block out like good, positive things either, but even sometimes like people having positive comments can still have that underlying like, oh, I support you, but I just don't know about this. You know, like it's still that story and that projection lays under it. So I'm just saying, when you build that relationship with yourself and you are so confident in yourself, and I said this in the last episode, when you are so confident in who you are, nothing can fuck with you. Nothing can fuck with you. And I made a TikTok earlier saying that I'm making this episode. And I understand it is so easy in today's society to not know who the fuck you are. Okay, like even if we cut out the inner child stuff and everything else, just social media in general can make us feel like we don't know who we truly are because we're always being influenced. Oh, this is how you should post your photos. This is how you should talk. This is how you should make content. This is how you should dress. I see it in so many people. They have no idea who they are. And I'm not saying in like a way of you can't express yourself or try different things. But there's so many people that literally just become a chameleon. They turn into whatever is popular right now or whatever everyone else is doing. They have no true like authenticity. And so I love content creators that push authenticity. And luckily growing up, I never really had an issue with being authentic. I think maybe I was too authentic. It's just really hard for me to fake something, to fake like you, to fake content. Like I cringe at content that you could just tell is like made up. Like it just is so cringy to me. I can't do things for views. Like it has to fuel me. It has to mean a lot to me. I'm a very real person. I definitely can get along with people that I don't like, and sometimes it's just easier that way to just be cordial. But let me tell you, it's really fucking hard sometimes. It's really fucking hard. just because that's not who I am. And I just never have been the type that really gave a fuck if you didn't like what I liked, because truthfully, I have always been pretty connected with my inner child. It just was a very rocky relationship because there was just things that were out of my control. But I always believed, like at my core, that everything was possible, that my dreams were possible. And like, luckily I had that drive to be myself and do what makes me happy. But, at some point in life, I lost that connection and I lost myself, and I had to build that back up. Because at some point in my life, I was like, yeah, this isn't going to happen for me. And I was really depressed and I didn't see like a way out. And I just was like, okay, this is not happening for me. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to live this long. Like, this isn't working. So like when I cut that off with myself, it was a very hard journey. And I had to find myself again. And so that's why I say, if you don't even have a relationship with yourself, like a healthy one, is to learn to get to know yourself first, or get to know yourself again. And sometimes, that version of ourselves that we thought we were, we might not ever be again. Like my high school version of myself, when I was learning to find that teenage girl again, I found her in a different way. It wasn't necessarily that version of myself, but it was the version of, hey, I used to really love dressing up. Like I used to love clothes. And then I lost my way, and I still am trying to find that way back. I'm not going to be that version of myself again, but that version that loved that, maybe I can tap into that again. So like the last year or so, especially since I've been losing weight, I've been trying to tap more into that feminine side of myself, that Libra side of myself that loves clothes and loves accessories, and just being that version of myself and honoring myself in that feminine way, but also honoring that teenage inner child type of version of myself. So that's just an example that something similar in your life that maybe you used to love to do and you got away from. And then I would say the biggest and like truest test to loving yourself and trusting yourself is to know that your truth is your fucking truth. There's not this societal true. Yes, there's facts and fiction, yes, but no one can seriously sit here and say, you can't make $1 million a year. Like, no one can truly sit here and tell you that as fact. So you need to know and build your trust within yourself that I'm going to fucking do this. And you have to block out what anyone has to say about it. And I know that like I was already talking about this and I kind of gotten away from it and now I'm back to it. But I just want to like make sure you guys understand that there are different layers to trusting yourself. And I feel like this is the ultimate, like, okay, you built the foundation and now you have to fucking believe that shit. There are so many times that I don't always believe what I'm saying. There's many times where I go through, areas of my life where I'm like, man, how is this going to happen for me? I, get my feels maybe about it, and then I might open myself up to someone about it. And then I'm like, yeah, fuck that. This shit's going to happen for me. Like, we have doubts. If you're trying to manifest something, you're going to have doubts, especially if it's something really big and important to you. But you are in control of your life, and what you believe to be true is your fucking truth. Don't let anyone else try to change how you feel about something. When I woke up and I started going on the spiritual journey and I learned about law of attraction, it woke me the fuck up to life is full of possibilities. And whatever someone else beliefs are, that's their shit. That doesn't have to be mine. That doesn't have to be my fucking beliefs. That is what they were programmed to believe. I'm going to break that shit. I worked on myself. I worked on my own limiting beliefs. I'm still working on them. And I'm affirming what I want to believe is true. I believe that everything's possible. I believe that I can be a millionaire. I believe that I can be successful. I can believe that I don't have to work a 9 to 5 to be stable. And if someone wants to try to tell you otherwise, look around you. Maybe it's no one that you actually know. Maybe it's just on social media. There are people that are living the life you want to live. And if they're living that life that you want to live, why the fuck can't you? Why can't you? They are living proof that it's fucking possible. So you can fucking do it too. Just because your parents didn't and their parents didn't and everyone around you, your brother and your sister, they're not, that doesn't mean you fucking can't. So you have to be so strong in where you're going, and you have to be your biggest fucking supporter. And I promise you, like, I have chills just saying this because I've been there and I'm still there. I have to remind myself all the fucking time because I hear it from other people. I hear their beliefs. I hear their stories. That's not me. That's not where I'm going, and I'm going to prove it. And I tell myself what I can do because I know what's fucking possible. I see what's possible through other people that I inspire to be like. It's possible for me to change my life and change my story. No one else is in control of your fucking life but yourself. So you have to trust and you have to know. You have to know that on every level of your fucking being. At your soul, at your core, you have to know that it is possible for you. And when you build that trust with yourself, no one can break that shit. No one can penetrate it. I'm not saying you will never be affected by what other people have to say, because sometimes I do. Sometimes I let people's shit that they say come in and feed on my little doubts that I have, and sometimes they grow bigger. But I shake that shit off. Maybe I get my feelings for a little bit, but then I'm like, nope, that's not my truth. That's not where I'm going. I'm not choosing to believe into that story. I'm not feeding that fucking story. You have to know that this is possible for you. You have to know who you are. Because when you know who you are, no one can fucking fuck with you. No one can change who you are. Everyone has come here for a reason, for a purpose. And how dare you let someone else tell you that you can't do something? Because guess what? At the end of the day, if you're living for other people, you are literally the only one living with the consequences of going against what you want at the core. No one else has to deal with those consequences other than you. So you either can choose to live the life you want to live or choose to live the life other people want you to live and be fucking miserable. You choose. You know that saying that people say, you choose your pain, you choose your hard? I rather choose not knowing how the fuck I'm gonna get to where I want to go and having to day in and day out trust myself, trust in God, trust in the universe that things are going to happen for me, even when my reality is showing me otherwise, even though I'm living a life that I actually don't want, but trusting that I'm going to keep working towards what I do want and that it's going to work out. I rather dive deep into my healing and keep reaffirming that I can do this, even when I feel like I fucking can't, than have to live a life for somebody else and having to give up what makes me fucking happy to fit someone else's belief system on this is how you should do this and this is how you should live your life. Like, I know damn well that if I gave up on where I want to go and the things that make me happy and I feel like are my purpose and my mission here, I know that that would lead me to a huge fucking depression. And I've already been there, y'all. I'm not trying to go back. You know, at some point in my life, I did give up on everything that I just said. And I tried to fit into this society of this is how you're supposed to do things and just shut the fuck up and go to work and be fucking miserable. And I will never do that shit again. Never. Because I've been there. There's no point. There's no fucking point in living for somebody else. Because you're the only one that has to suffer the consequences from walking away from that inner child version of yourself. Let me remind you that. So you can sit across from your little version of yourself and you could sit there and say, you know what? I know you wanted to be an artist, but that's just not reasonable. And mom and dad said that I need to go get a real job. So yeah, fuck you. Yeah, I bet you wouldn't fucking say that. Because you love yourself. Maybe you don't believe that, but you do. Deep down within yourself. If you don't love yourself, it's just because there's a lot of other bullshit that was pushed onto you to believe that you're not worthy. And that little version, that little kid version of yourself is fucking worthy. So go through life bringing that little version of yourself with you. Because that person is you. Let me remind you that. And I guarantee you wouldn't talk to yourself like that. You at the core don't want that for yourself. You want to live the life that you were meant to live. And if you have a desire to do something with your life in a very specific way, like become an artist, for example, you didn't just have a desire for no reason. Like, it's possible for you. If you have the desire at all, that means it's possible for you and it's probably more than likely meant for you. We don't just want things for no fucking reason. And that's honestly what inner child work is. You can go back to that version of yourself, maybe at a given situation that happened, and be there for them. Maybe at some point you neglected them, but choose now to be there for them. Choose now to take control of your fucking life. You don't have to believe what everybody else tells you. You don't have to believe everybody else's stories. You can choose today to become closer with yourself. Just by doing something that you haven't done in a while, that used to bring you joy. It's little things that you can do every day to get you closer to where you want to be. And so that's why I always encourage you to live authentically. And that's truly where the trust comes from. When you can trust yourself and know who you are at the core, it's so much easier to block out everybody else. And honestly, if you want to be able to trust yourself, you need to learn how to block everyone else out. And you will go through, experiences in your life, like I said, where maybe you do go for that dream job. You have to block out what everybody else is saying and just know at the core that it's going to work out for you. And when you trust yourself, you trust the universe, you trust God. You are a part of God. You are part of universe. So your relationship with yourself is honestly the biggest way to get closer to God and closer to the universe, whatever you prefer to say. your most important relationship is with yourself. And that's not selfish to say, because at the end of the day, we come into this world by ourselves and we leave this world by ourselves. There's no one coming with us. So why not live the life you want to live? Why not put yourself first? And your relationship with yourself not only is the most important for where you want to go, but literally everything is reflected back to you. So whether it's something you want to manifest, like a job or a relationship, everything reflects the relationship with yourself. So that's why I also say the most important relationship is with yourself. And God will reflect what's around you based on how you feel about yourself and how you interact with yourself. How can you have integrity and put others first, but not have integrity for yourself and put yourself first? Like, you can't do both, because at the end of the day, you might feel like you're putting other people first and, you know, you are so good with your word, but you might not be doing it in a way of authenticity. You might be doing it in a way of wanting someone's love and appreciation because you are neglecting that within yourself. You not having good word with yourself and integrity with yourself makes you lack that love and appreciation that you might be seeking outside of yourself. And how you seek it outside of yourself and how you're trying to get it back to you is by you putting other people first. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes we think, oh, we're such a good person, but truly it's like we're just seeking something for that. Like, are you really a good person? Or are you trying to do things because you're trying to get something out of it, like subconsciously, like love and affection? Ooh, I know that's a little hard to, actualize and understand. And so hopefully you get it. So with everything I said, when you trust yourself, you trust God, you trust the universe, you trust that things are going to work out. You trust that where you're going and where you're at is divine timing. And that's honestly how you build a better relationship with God and universe. And the more that you go through as well is honestly how you build your trust. Like, the more you go through times where there is a lot of uncertainty and you don't know how it's going to work out, but you trust through it, like that's like the cherry on top. That's what solidifies everything, is when you actually have to like test yourself. Like, for example, you quit your job to pursue your dreams, and when there's a lot of uncertainty, do you go back to that job, or do you trust that it's going to work out? And when you go through those periods of uncertainty and you make it through the other side, it's like, oh, it's the best feeling. Like, hey, I did it. Fuck yeah. And then you become an example for other people. And you tell people, you can do it, you can do it. It's like a ripple effect. The more you are yourself, the more that you heal, you let other people heal. You help others through their journey, whether literally like hands-on or just being you. So I just want to encourage everyone to just dive deep and to get to know yourself and love yourself, because loving yourself is doing those things that make you happy. And that is key to trusting yourself. Doing those little things, building that trust. And you'll go through phases where, you don't necessarily know if things are going to work out, and it is hard. But when you keep pushing through and you keep trusting in the universe and trusting in yourself to do the things that you need to do to get you to where you want to be, that's like, I don't even have a word for it. Badass. Top tier boss ass bitch status. Like, nothing can fuck with you when you go through so much shit and you trust in yourself to get yourself through it. You just build a really great relationship with yourself. And a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people want that because so many people don't have a relationship with themselves at all. And I think it's just the most important thing that you can do. So I'm going to get off here. My voice is getting a little hoarse, as you can probably hear. I am going to go eat and catch up on some other things. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, let me know. My social medias are at Madison Ansell, MADYSONANCELL. Those are my personal ones. I'm active on Instagram and mostly on TikTok. My Lotus Me Bloom is just at Lotus Me Bloom. On everything I mentioned, I have a Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok. I have an actual website where you can buy crystals and candles. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, reach out to me. I'd love if you could leave a 5-star review. And if you enjoyed today's episode, screenshot it and put it on your story and tag me. I'd love to see who is watching or who's listening. And yeah, with that being said, I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye, guys.